Hey guys, welcome to Tiny House Customs. I'm Dan. In this video, I'm going to be installing Roxul insulation, a vapor barrier, and then I will plywood it and close it in completely. Yay, pretty cool, right? Now this video is brought to you with the support of my Patreon supporters. So if you are not a Patreon supporter and you want to help support this, please go check it out. Link's going to be in the description below. So a few months ago, Roxul reached out to me and offered to send me on a trip to go see how this stuff is made in Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. I got to go to the manufacturing facility, watch how this stuff is made, how they take the raw ingredients, which are rock and slag is the byproduct from the manufacturing steel. They heat that stuff up molten hot, send it through this little thingy, it hits the spinning disc, blade of air, hits it, sends it out into like these little strings, very similar to fiberglass insulation, but instead of being glass, it's a rock product. And then it falls down onto a conveyor and it just keeps going back and forth, and they make the correct thickness that you want. They make this for 2x4, 2x6, 2x8, probably 2x10. You can get this stuff condensed, so it's a board. So if you want to put it on the outside of your house to add for fire protection, if you live in a high fire area, definitely a great product to have. I'm planning on doing a video about the different types of insulations. Now with spray foam, there's several different types of foam, but I'll just do a general category for foam, fiberglass insulation, Roxul, and then I'll probably do the jean material. Now at all those insulations, I personally feel that Roxul has the best benefits. The only downside with Roxul is that it's going to be the heavier of the four different types that I just spoke of, but it's not that heavy. Now one bag of this stuff that covers about 60 square feet is about $59, I believe. I could be completely wrong. I think I'm right. I'll Google it. Should have Googled it earlier. But this one bag should be enough to do this section because my house is only like 50 square feet. I think it might be enough. Now I'm not paid to say any of that stuff about Roxul or my opinions about Roxul, but Roxul did send me out a few bags to do my main house. I'm going to be stealing a bag and using it here because I think they sent me out a little extra. So thank you, Roxul. If you've ever installed fiberglass insulation or a foam rigid foam board, it's extremely hard to cut. Fiberglass is probably one of the hardest insulations to cut because there's no real way to cut it. You almost have to break the glass fibers. And so you end up just hacking it and ripping it, and you never get a clean cut. This stuff is very easy to cut with just a serrated bread knife. I took this one from my little block that I have in the house. It has now become a full-time construction tool. Now this does have some small fibers in it. So when you are working with it, it can get into your pores and itch. So it's recommended to wear a face mask, safety glasses, long sleeve shirt. In one of my videos, one of my subscribers said to take baby powder and rub it all over your skin so that baby powder will clog your pores and this stuff won't get into it. I don't have any baby powder. I thought about going to get some, but that's just, we're already making this too much. Now, since my joists aren't set at any like number really, they're all over the place, what I'm going to do is first fill in the sections that are wider than the actual insulation. So this is for 2x4 or 16 inches on center. So when I was at the manufacturing facility, we had a little hands-on on how to install this stuff and how to work with it, how to cut it and all that stuff. So you really want to force this bottom corner down into that, and then you kind of want to bow it up and then try to get this corner, this outside corner, down into there. You don't want to just push it down like that because what's going to end up happening is you're going to get a rounded edge on the bottom. Looks good, right? I think so. Looks good to me. Roxul insulation. Comfort Bat R15. Now a lot of people are using foam insulation as their insulation. I really don't like foam insulation. When I took the trailer apart, the camper apart, it was insulated with foam on the bottom, some rigid blue foam that you would buy, the big sheets. And ants had gotten into it. Ants will eat that stuff up like you wouldn't believe. They tunnel through it and make their own little like colony inside this insulation, effectively completely destroying your R value, completely breaking down your vapor barrier. It's a very poor choice for an insulation personally. It is lightweight, more expensive, pros and cons like you wouldn't believe. So I'm going to measure this piece. I need a rip. So it's 6.5. I'm going to cut it 7 inches because This stuff will condense a little bit, eh? Probably should get something better than this method I'm doing right here, but we're good. So the two major benefits with Roxul insulation is that it is, one, it's water repellent. So in a tiny house, we have a huge moisture problem. It's such a tight space, and you might have a pot of boiling water on the stove, might be a steamy shower. So having a insulation that repels that moisture or won't allow it to soak into it, causing mildew problems, is a huge benefit. And then the second is that it's fire resistant. So if you're in a tiny house or familiar with the tiny house world, insuring a tiny house is extremely difficult. So having a product like this that won't allow fire to just go crazy, like a spray foam insulation, that house is gone. If it catches on fire, gone. Fiberglass insulation typically has a paper backing. That paper backing is extremely flammable. It goes up instantly. And then the fiberglass insulation has a much lower melting point. This stuff will melt, but it's like insanely hot. There is adhesives in this material that keeps it together, keeps its shape. A fire will break down that adhesive, but the Roxul insulation will still be there. Snap dap, a steep a deep doo lap bat, snip dee dee snip dee 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 dee. Roxul comfort bat. It's comfortable. It's a bat. It's comfortable. Comfort bat. It's a bat. It's comfortable and it's a bat. It's a comfort. It's a bat that's comfortable. I mean, you can't do that any quicker. Easy to install. I can't even begin to tell you how easy this shit is to install. Like, come on. Over halfway done in like less than 20 minutes. I can't tell you enough how easy this stuff is to cut, install. I mean, I would use this product regardless of Roxul sending it to me or whatever. It is a great product, and it's extreme. Why did I just screw up at life? That goes somewhere. Thank God. I just can't think straight. I'm telling you, when I'm sober, I make the worst videos. Whoa, that's strong. Man, that's really strong. I know this video might be a little commercially, but I think the whole point of this channel is to educate people on different products that are good for the tiny house community. Even if Roxul didn't send me this product, I would still be using it for my project. It's just the benefits completely outweigh the one negative, which is the weight. I know in the tiny house community, everyone's very like eco-friendly and wants to use the best stuff for the environment. This is rock, the slag, which is a byproduct. It's literally garbage. Slag is garbage. It's turned into this. So rock and slag is what's making this. So as far as eco-friendly, I really feel it is. I'm really forcing it into that C-channel. And since the C-channel is only 3 inches, I got a little gap. So when I force it in there, it's splitting it and it's going below that C-channel all the way back to the backside of that 2x4. So I'm getting complete coverage with it. Look at that. One bag. I knew it was going to be enough. I knew it. I did not know it. So is this stuff recyclable? Well, if I was close to the manufacturing facility, I would bring it back and I would give it to them and they could recycle it. Yes, they can take this product, throw it right back in with the rock and slag, remelt it and reproduce the same product over and over again. So one day it'll be recyclable. I mean, there'll be Roxul drop-off facilities, Roxul transfer stations. Peanut loves laying on this stuff. Is it good for dogs? I don't see why it would be bad. I don't see why. So that is it. That is so easy. I know I've said it already. I've said everything I wanted to really say. Probably missed some stuff, but literally the greatest product in the world. Spray foam is extremely expensive and it is flammable. So I'm not a fan of that insulation. Fiberglass, I hate this stuff. I hate it. I did construction for years. Anytime we did demo and there was fiberglass insulation, I was a whiny little girl because that stuff drives my skin nuts. It is a hot day right now. My pores are wide open and I'm not feeling any irritation on my skin. Some people, it will be different. So this product you can install right up against the steel. That's completely fine. The aluminum is all right. It's a great product to use in damp areas. So in a basement, if you were going to finish a basement, perfect to put it right against the wall. They have these rigid boards that you can get of Roxul insulation, and you just nail them right onto the wall, frame your wall on top of that, and then you can do more insulation if you want, and then do your sheetrock or whatever your finish would be. It's definitely a product I would recommend using in a bathroom if you're doing a regular house remodel on a bathroom or a kitchen, to high moisture areas. It is a little bit more expensive compared to fiberglass insulation. It is way cheaper than spray foam though. But overall, I would highly, highly, highly recommend Roxul insulation. And I'm not paid to say that, okay? I can say that. I'm not paid to say that. I'm not. It sounded like I am a little bit. So when I was at the Roxul facility, I asked them about vapor barriers because it doesn't come with a vapor barrier on it. Spray foam, when you install it and it dries, it creates its own vapor barrier. Now, if you cut that vapor, if you cut just a little hole in it, or if the spray foam sticks out too far and you cut it, you have effectively broken your vapor barrier. Also, that product doesn't allow your house to breathe at all. So a lot of people use a plastic, I think like an A62 mil, I don't know, something mil, plastic, and they put it down on this stuff. So they say to install a poly type vapor barrier in cold climates. Now, tiny houses are portable, so you could be in, Canada one year and then Florida the next year or whatever. So you could experience all these different climate changes. So I did a lot of research on this, especially when I was at the Roxul manufacturing facility, and asked them about what's the best vapor barrier to use. I don't want to endorse this company because they were not willing to get behind me at all. This company makes a membrane. It is literally plastic. I swear to God, it's just plastic. It looks just like it, but apparently it's breathable. I wouldn't put it over your head, but it's supposed to change to the weather conditions that it's exposed to. So in high humidity, it's going to open up its pores and moisture will be able to pass through. In low humidity, it's going to seal and it won't allow water to go in. If you just Google membrane, there is several companies that manufacture a similar product. Now this is, I believe, 4 times the price of poly, just a normal poly vapor barrier. This one roll, I ordered it online, cost $60 or $70, so really expensive. I could have bought enough plastic to do my entire house, this entire house, for 50 bucks. I'll probably have to buy 2 or 3 of these rolls. I know I said I was going to go with a budget-friendly build on this project, but there's also doing things right and making sure it's gonna last, because I don't see myself holding on to this house forever, and I would never sell something that I'm not 100% behind. So I'm gonna do stuff right. The finish on it is gonna be looking kind of old. I'm gonna be using a lot of reclaimed stuff on the finish. But as far as framing, insulation, electrical, all that stuff, plumbing, it's gonna be new because I don't want those things to cause problems in the future. Ready? I don't know. I watched a video on YouTube about it. It looked, oh, what's this? Instructions. Good. As long as they included those for somebody who needs them. So I'm going to hang this over about 16 inches. I'll explain why in a minute. And this stuff should just cut with a dull ass utility blade. Yeah, it's dull. I'll tell you what, it definitely doesn't cut like plastic, so it is not. It's not like plastic. You guys don't know this, but I email companies all the time trying to get hooked up, I'm not looking to get paid or anything. I just want to highlight their products in my videos, and since I'm endorsing them in my videos, I feel like I should maybe get some type of discount or something. I don't know, is that asshole of me? But Certainteed, I'm not a fan of you, okay? Didn't get any response back from them. Oh, it's gonna be big enough, baby. So I'm just gonna lay this out. I want to have some hangover on the side. So if you needed to do pieces of this stuff, you want to tape those joints. Tyvek tape would work great. Any type of plasticky tape. I wouldn't use duct tape because that's kind of porous. but a plasticky solid tape. And tape all your joints. If you have electrical boxes, tape around those, tape around plumbing pipes, all that stuff. But you want this to be a vapor barrier and can be completely sealed from the livable space. Now you do install vapor barrier on top of the insulation towards the inside of your house. So this is where it goes. It wouldn't go on the bottom. So I'm gonna hang this stuff over about 14 inches all the way around the thing. That way when I do my plywood, this stuff will fold up over the plywood, go underneath my bottom plate, and then it will run up on the inside of the wall, and I connect the inside vapor barrier to this. So I get a complete vapor seal. I'm just gonna put a couple staples in these four corners just to hold it so I can do the plywood. Ooh, I ripped it. Oh, it rips easy. Oh, it rips easy. Not good. I forget how many square feet this covers. God, who wants to read? Like, that's so much. So much. 7 steps. So it says to staple it every 12 to 24 inches on a wall or on a floor or whatever. Since I'm putting the plywood on it right now, plywood's gonna hold it in place. I don't want to put any unnecessary holes into this vapor barrier. It doesn't say how many square feet this covers, but it was a lot, I think. I think it was like either 400 or 200 square feet. But at $70 a roll, kind of expensive. Extremely expensive. And I had to order it too. They didn't have it in store. Kind of a pain. Next. I didn't change the camera angle once there. That was not exciting. All right, sweet, I'm home. Don't step on the plastic. What, right here? Don't do it. Don't do it.
I will do it just to piss you off. Hey guys, watch this. I'm gonna piss him off.
All right, plywood time. Plywood, easy, easy, easy. So this is, I always say plywood, but it's not. It's OSB, oriented strand board. Basically wood chips that have been glued together to create a board. I just refer to it as plywood because it's just easy for my mouth and my brain to say. It is a tongue and groove 3/4 inch. Anytime you do a floor, you want to use 3/4 inch plywood. Again, OSB, whatever. You can get tongue and groove plywood, actual veneer plywood. But what happens with plywood on a floor is the laminates end up separating if moisture gets to it. So floor sheathing, 3/4 inch floor sheathing is considerably better than wall sheathing. I'm not sure if it's the adhesive that they use to join the chips together. This product right here is from Georgia Pacific. It costs about $20 a sheet. If you have the money and you want to get the top of the line for floor plywood, Advantech makes the cat's meow for floor sheathing. It's about $31 a sheet. As of filming this video, that changes every day, obviously. So I got this for about $20 a sheet, plus a $15 delivery rate. It was like 80 something dollars. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now I need to make this work for the whole thing. I don't know if I have enough peanut. I need you to get up.
I'm not getting up.
Okay, watch out. That is the best word I ever taught her, is watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out.
Whoa, God, don't kill me.
It's probably because the first time I said watch out and then kicked the shit out of her by accident. That's probably why she watches out. Makes sense. So since I don't want to cut into my vapor barrier, I'm going to cut the piece of plywood prior to installing it. Prior. So sometimes when you plug your cord in like this and then you're working and then you grab the saw and you walk away, they get unplugged, right? So if you're on a commercial site, commercial project, don't ever do this because OSHA will be all over you. But I just take the two together and make a simple knot just like that. Make it about that far away, about a foot coming off like that. Plug these two in. So when you grab the saw and you walk away, this, wait, hold on, this won't get unplugged. Makes sense? And we're good to go. Set my depth to 3/4, right about there. Chalk line. So I pre-measured stuff to figure out how to best utilize these 3 sheets, and I think I'm gonna pull my back number off to this point here and then cut a piece for this, and then the cutoff from that piece will start me, and then the other piece will finish that right there. So I'll have a rip on the end. I'll definitely have a bunch of left over, but that's all right. So Now, whenever possible, you always want factory edges to butt up against each other. So I have a factory edge here. I want a factory edge to connect to it. It's going to be a much cleaner cut, and also that has a finished paint on it, which is going to prevent moisture from getting into it and preventing it from expanding. If I put a cut in it and I butt it together, moisture will get down into that crack, it'll expand it, and I'll end up with like a little dip in the floor. Not a huge problem, but something that you can kind of prevent on this step right here. So on this floor sheathing, or OSB, I've got a groove here and a tongue over there. So I want my groove to be on that side, so my tongue feeds into it. So I want to pull my numbers from this side and come this way. This is the bottom of the sheet. I could flip it over. That would still make no difference. I still need to mark the other side. So this is going to be the first time that I utilize a chalk line on this project. If you don't know what a chalk line is, it's literally a rope with some chalk in it. It is the best way to get a straight line on a piece of wood. You just put it on both marks that you have on each side of the board, pull it taut, and snap the line, and you get a perfectly straight line. When I'm cutting, I get this started by looking at my starting point here and the blade. Once I get going, all I do is focus on this front point of the saw and keep this on my line, and I go. I don't look at the blade anymore. New exciting camera angles brought to you by Dan. Definitely a two-person job right here I got going on. Oh, wow. There's no easy way of doing this. Probably ripped it to schnit. Now you could cut this tongue off, but since the wall is going to sit on top of this, my plywood's going to go past it just a little bit so I don't have water issues. I'm going to leave it. It's not a huge issue. Typically I like to snap a line, but since I have that vapor barrier, I'm not going to snap a line. I'm just going to use the sheets of plywood as a straight line. If I was going like 40 feet, then yeah, I would snap a line. I'd figure out a way to do it, but there's no real need for it here. What's up, Pete?
You calling me fat? You gonna move it with me on it?
Make sure I'm good. That looks good. Everything looks really good. I'm gonna have a ton of plywood left over. Now I was gonna use a ring shank galvanized nail to secure this down, but since I'm not getting the glue that I'd like to install underneath floor plywood, I'm gonna use a screw so that a screw is gonna hold it better. It doesn't have that shear value that I like to have, but in this application, since I'm not using the glue, I'm going to use the use screws. Much more better. So I'm always a fan of using what I have, and I have 2.5 inch exterior screws. Personally, 1.5 inch, 1 3/4 exterior grade screw would work perfect for this. But like I said, this is what I got. I'm just going to put one in this point right here as a pivot point. I'm checking this edge to make sure it's good. Come down a little bit right here. Butt this sheet in, make sure it's good. Check this. I want to leave a slight gap here. They recommend leaving an 1/8 inch. So I screwed this larger sheet in and I put one in the top of the smaller sheet. I'm going to push this so I get the same reveal on that gap. I'm going to come down to this point right here and sight it and make sure I have a nice straight line. Looks good to me. You could string a line on top of this to make sure it's good if your eye's not like perfect. Double check it. Good. And I'm going to put a screw in the tops of each of these. So since I have that groove in this plywood, I want my tongue piece to go into it. Now I want a slight gap on this because it will expand and contract. So I measure in several spots and I've got about 19 7/8 all the way around. So I'm going to rip those pieces at 19 3/4 and then cut my pieces to length. Makes sense? I can get this length while I'm at it, right? So I'm not going to hook onto the tongue. I'm going to hook on to where the tongue ends and mark my 19 3/4. I guess the shoulder of the tongue, I guess you would say. 19 3/4. Snap it. Rinse and repeat. So I want to kind of make sure I'm flush here. Definitely 1/2 and 1/2 on this joist. And then slide it in there. Definitely gonna need a hammer to whack it in. I probably should have said this at the beginning of the video, but when you're running your plywood, you want it to run perpendicular to your joist. If so, I know, perpendicular, that's a big one. What the hell does that mean? If your joists are running this way, you want your plywood to go this way. You don't want to put like a 4-foot sheet here and then a 4-foot sheet here. It's difficult to match up that tongue and groove on the joist, which needs to be on there. So just do it this way, run it this way, if that makes sense. Don't go 1 sheet, 2 sheet, 3 sheet, 4 sheet, whatever. So I'm just gonna knock this into the groove. Slight gap is really what you're looking for. So that's it. I got about 100 screws probably to put in here. This I'm gonna try to, the vapor barrier, I'm gonna try to roll up and make it neat so I don't tear it or ruin it while framing, I guess. But this thing is it, man. This is small. Once this thing is done, this space is gonna be literally the only standable space in this house. There will be some chairs, seating right here with a table, and a kitchen right here. So it is super tiny, super tiny. Now in other videos when I did this, I squared this, the trailer, I squared it up. It is off probably a little bit, but when I snap my lines for my walls, I'm gonna try to correct that. And if it's really bad, I'm not gonna force it into place. Since steel needs to flex, if I try to pull it correctly, it's going to always want to pull back, and then when I'm driving, it's going to really try to pull back to where it's supposed to be or it wants to be. So I'm just going to screw this plywood down where it's at. I'm going to put screws on these joints every 4 to 6 inches, and then anywhere there's not a joint, so in the field is what that's called, I'm going to put it, 8 to 10? Generally just go 8 inches on center on it. Don't measure it, go by eye. And if anything, go a little bit less. So 6 inches on center on that is going to be fine. Again, screws or nails will work fine on this project. So how much did this project cost? So the installation is about $50 for a bag, and that covered the entire area of this, which is about 60 square feet. That was $50. The vapor barrier was about $60, and the plywood was about $80. So altogether, this project was under $200 to do the whole thing. Factor in the screws, then yeah, it was over $200. Staples and all that stuff. The tools I used was a circular saw, a drill, a stapler, all things that you should have if you're going to try to do a project like this. So fairly easy. Chalk line, tape measure, pencil, hammer. Easy. You can do this. It's doable. You can do it. Trust me, you can. Take your time. Just think about what you're doing. You can do it. So coming up, I'm not sure where I'm going to go with this. I need to get the door. The front door is a huge part of this project. I need to purchase that front door and build a frame so I can get my wall height, because that door is going to set the wall heights. I really want to go pretty low with my wall height. So I really want to shoot for under 10 feet tall once this thing's completely done. But I need to level this thing up, still need to register it. That's gonna take forever. I'm gonna do that way later. Need to snap some lines on this thing, get it ready, figure out material. I wanna do a framing 101 video, basically a classroom style video where I sit in front of a whiteboard and I draw some stuff out for you guys and explain how structure works with a wall, basically. Because I see a lot of people still making very amateur mistakes when building their tiny houses, and it's what's holding your house together is the framing. So the structure needs to be done right. But I got a lot of stuff planned, a little bit of money, so please join me on Patreon. The more we have, the better this project will go, the quicker it'll go. Your comments and criticism are welcome over on Patreon, not on YouTube. Again, this video was filmed probably a month and a half ago. So your suggestions right now on YouTube are completely irrelevant to where I'm actually at in real time. So if you do have constructive criticism, join me on Patreon. You can join it. $1 a month, and your criticism is welcome over there. Please, I'd love to have your feedback over there so we can make this thing the best ever. I have been working on my siding. I'm not filming any of it because it's done. I'm done with it. It's just boring to me. I might do a siding video about different types of sidings that you can use. Clapboard, board and batten, T111, vinyl siding, all these different options that you can do. That might be the final siding video that I do, as well as a price breakdown of that whole siding project, because it's extremely expensive.
Whoa, there's no plywood there. I almost died. You're such a little lover.
I didn't swear once in that video. That's pretty damn good.